Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Well, here we are starting a brand new year. Lots of us are looking at what we do, especially when it comes to work, and thinking how we can do that better, maybe more efficiently, save some time, just organize things even better. I know I did it at the beginning of the year. I have bags of stuff over there that needs to go out, just one aspect of organization. But I do feel that you need to call upon those that know what they're doing when it comes to making your workplace, your business more efficient, more productive, more organized. That's what she specializes in. And her company is Organization Solutions, LLC. Janet Jackson joins us. Hi, Janet. How you doing?
Hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
This is one of my favorite things to talk about: organization, efficiency. I like thinking about ways to do it better. And I'm thinking that you're kind of the same way.
Yeah, yes, 100%. I would joke that some might look at it even as a curse. Like every aspect of my life has been made more efficient, whether it's getting dressed in the morning, where my things are in my kitchen, which, a lot of people organize, but it's all about efficiency.
Mm.
Yeah.
The one word that always comes to my mind when we talk about this stuff is systems,
Yes.
putting systems in place, right?
Absolutely. That's exactly right. And really, everything you can systematize just about everything. And when we talk about systems, we're not talking about software or anything
Right.
technical. It's just a repeatable process. And really, if you've done organization right, it becomes a self-sustaining process so that, people who don't love to organize, that's fine because you set up your system once and it's self-maintaining.
Some people are wired for it. Some people aren't. That's just the way it is. We're all different, where we may be more organized. Somebody else may be better at this over here, but that's
Absolutely.
why we have you come in. So I want to talk about how you help businesses and individuals get it together. But I'm intrigued. How did this all begin for you?
Oh, that's an excellent question. I'm excited to answer it. Do you want the short story or the long story?
you're, you're organized. It's going to be a little shorter.
All right, fair enough. Well, like you said, some people are just naturally wired to embrace organization and systems. So I was definitely that as a young child, organizing my books, my third grade book collection, those kinds of things. But I would say then Indiana 4-H, my time in Indiana 4-H really gave me some of the skills that I'm now using in my business, such as project management, public speaking, um, uh, working with people, working with all different types of people, peers, adults, authority figures, people that you're leading, etc. So those are some of the things that shaped me to do this. Um, but and I went to college, got a degree from Taylor University in business administration, a second major in psychology, which,
Hmm.
yes, exactly. That's exactly right. That comes into play a lot. Just maybe not even so much my training in the psychological major degree, those kinds of things, but more what drew me to it to begin with, that observation of people. And then life took me to Honda of American Manufacturing, where I worked on a team and we implemented a large software solution, a software package across 4 manufacturing plants, touching hundreds of people. And so that required a lot of change management, a lot of documentation, processes and procedures, training, all of those things. And then I had a baby. And I wanted a little bit more flexibility. So I literally sat in my church sanctuary with a friend and said, I don't know, maybe people will pay me to organize stuff. And that was
Hmm.
22 years ago. My
Wow.
daughter's now 23 and on her own, and my business grew up right with her. And I've been helping people in the workplace be more organized and efficient ever since.
Wow. And by the way, I wish I took psychology in school. I really do. I took it and then I just dropped out, and I literally dropped out because I was already doing what I wanted to do. I got a job at 18 at the big station in New York, and it was like I stayed there for about the same time you've been doing what you're doing, maybe a little bit more. But yeah, looking and understanding how people think, no matter what you do, is,
Right.
I think, so impactful. I believe what makes you different is that, but also that you don't just organize, you help people become more efficient. There's lots of organized professional organizers out there, but that's where you go the extra mile.
I love that you caught that because that kind of came into clarity for me a couple years ago, because I am part of the National Association of Professional Organizers and all of that. But I recognized I'm I'm not passionate about organization for organization's sake. I'm passionate about organization as a means towards efficiency. It's just a tool that helps you be systematized and efficient and and moving
Mm.
quicker. So not everybody always recognizes that because I think sometimes people have a fear with organizers because it's going to be really hard to maintain, complicated, and all of that. But that's where I'm like, well, then it's not the right solution.
Sure.
What we do has to be simple, or else you're not going to maintain it.
Yeah, you're not just going to help somebody clean up their file cabinet or their drawers at their office. It's going to be almost like a 360 organizational deep dive.
Absolutely. That's
Hmm.
exactly right. We create standards for that company to follow then so that you never go through this again. When you onboard new staff, you introduce them to what those standards are. So we don't have to think, I wonder how Steve would have filed that. No, we have a blueprint that tells us
Yep.
how Steve was supposed to file that.
So let's look, if we could, at maybe an example case study, one little piece of how you organize and maybe set up a system or made a company more efficient.
Okay. I would love to do that. So we'll just kind of carry on with what we were just talking about, the organization. So I think maybe we were referencing paper files just a second ago, but we take it to digital files as well,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
shared server organization. So um, something that I have done repeatedly, especially with local government, actually, but with nonprofit
Uh,
and small business, is shared server organization because so many times their folders are set up with the Harper folder and the Jackson folder and the Smith folder. And these are our little silos that we're supposed to be working in. But that doesn't really make sense because Jackson and Harper are working on the same project. So why don't we have a project folder that Jackson and Harper are both touching and working in so that Jackson can see what seats, what you have done, and
mm-hmm.
you can see what I've done, and we've got the latest and greatest information. So the case study that I'm thinking of right now is a local government that had, if you went straight to their common drive or their shared server and you open it up, there were 300 plus items visible. So massive scrolling. I
Oh,
think probably 180 of those, that's the number I'm remembering, like 180 of those were folders. The rest were just loose files. And so you can imagine if you go to save something, you don't have 30 minutes to figure out where like items might be. And so what we did is we came in and it was, it's a significant undertaking, but it's worth it. And it's consensus building. Not that everybody has to agree, but at least everybody understands the thinking and how we're going to a certain, with the direction that we're going. And so we took their shared server from opening it up and seeing 300 plus items to you open it up and I think you see like a dozen, maybe 15 folders,
mm.
and now it really drives their decision making. So it's seconds for me to think, okay, I've got this file. I wonder where I should save it. I only have 12 choices. I don't have 300 choices. And I can drill down and get it with like items.
I can totally relate to that. I'm just thinking as you're explaining it, it's like I'm seeing the servers and directories. I have a marketing company as well, and I'm looking at it in my mind like, oh, it's disorganized. Like if I go to a long-term client and I need to find a graphic file, but maybe we put it in the directory. I go by year, so maybe it's
Okay.
in one of those, or maybe it's in the master graphic
Right.
directory. I don't know. So waste of time. Waste of
Yes,
time.
absolutely. We see it over and over again. Waste of time because it takes you a long time to figure out where it is.
Yeah.
It's also with some of these files, risk of duplication, right? So now all of a
Mm.
sudden, risk that they get out of sync. So if you've been working on something and made changes, and I didn't know you had this file and we're making changes to it, and now I'm working on another version of it, all of a sudden we've got information in two different places that really need to be together. As well as just duplication of effort. I may not have realized you'd already made a fantastic graphic. And so now I'm spending the time or the money to have a graphic made simply because I couldn't find yours.
Yep. Or the version, or have one remade. Like, for example, let's say you need a PNG version of a graphic, which would have a transparent background. I don't know where it is. Let's go back to the graphic artist and have him resave it. So there's potentially waste of time there and money there.
Absolutely. You've
Hmm.
got it. I love it because not do people grasp this so quickly.
Are you
Sometimes it's a hard sell.
are you an Aquarius or Virgo?
I'm an Aquarius.
Yep. Yes, you are.
Wow. I don't follow
Steve,
that at all. So that's really interesting.
well, I don't very deeply, but I worked with somebody. I've known her for 23 years. I've worked with her for about 10 on air. She was my co-host, Aquarius, very well organized. I'm a Virgo, so by trait, we're typically kind of perfectionist Virgo. Everything has its place. Um, she's the same, if not more, and so are you.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
fascinating.
yeah. Look it up. It's you
I
totally
will.
fit it, and I knew like it's just
That's
no,
fun.
and I mean that. I mean that in a good way. And I'll even say, and this is why I would hire you because somebody, let's just say a very intuitive celebrity hired me. We were friends and I helped him start his media career in the beginning. However, and he said, yeah, because you're a Virgo. So I would hire you because you're Aquarius.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It says a lot about your organization skills and all of that. So if you were to pick like a perfect client for you or five, they're just walked in or they're watching right now, who would it be?
It would be someone who values organization. So I've been in situations where, the manager says, "Here, come fix this person." Well, if that person doesn't want to be fixed, it's really hard. So it's someone who values organization, but maybe doesn't necessarily have the skills to get there. Maybe or maybe has the skills, but not the time to make these changes that they need to make in the organization. So um, um, yeah, I work a lot with engineers. I don't know how that, I
Hmm.
don't know. I can't, I don't necessarily know that translation, but I do work with a lot of engineers. But yeah, I don't know if I'm answering your question very well, but someone who values, who recognizes, just like you
Right.
do in this conversation, I'm doing this to be more efficient. This isn't fluff. This isn't yeah, some people are organized, some people aren't. This is a skill, especially in today's workforce, that you need to have with the labor shortage and the not enough people. You don't want to be spending time on non-value added tasks.
100%. And for people that kind of grasp the energy aspect, and I've known about it for years, but really studied it deeply in the last 2 to 3. We're all energy. Everything, piece of paper, this is energy. It's all different types of energy. And if you're not organized and there's things in the way, even your office has boxes, whatever it might be, you're blocking the flow of positive energy, whereby blocking you from truly succeeding, prospering, making much more money. So this, I find organization peace of mind, but there's also stuff on the back end, like you said, saving time. You're going to save money. You probably get more clients because just the flow of energy. It's just
Right.
the law of the universe, if you will.
Well, and I think it feeds into a company's culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to retain good talent if they feel that they're equipped and they're not frustrated in their daily activities. Um, and some of that goes to having systems in place, documented processes and procedures, so there's no guessing. There are standards. We know how we operate. I think that goes a long way towards culture. It's not everything, but it goes a long way towards culture. So yeah, it can affect that as well.
Yeah, part of the mindset. We go back to the psychology. And I always say, we don't make mistakes here. We do not make mistakes. Well, of course we do, but if I say that, we'll make less. That's my thinking, my rationale.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk about the obstacles. 20 something years doing what you're doing in a very unique profession. Obstacles getting there. What did you come across?
Probably they were probably mostly internal obstacles, to be quite honest. So when I started, like I said, it was 22 years ago. I didn't know there, like, professional organizers, at least in Midwest Ohio, that wasn't a phrase that people knew. It probably took 10 to 15 years for me to for that to become common vernacular around here. And so um, when I started out, just sometimes I look back and I'm like, what did I do? How on earth? I started something without any kind of a roadmap or template. I just thought, again, I don't know, maybe people will pay me to organize stuff. And sure enough, they did. And so with that came um, like I knew I had the competency, or I believed that I had the skills, but believing that I can convince other people that I had the skills maybe is what I struggled with. I joke that like I've been in business 22 years, and for the first 18, I felt like a little girl with a lemonade stand.
I get
just
it.
just this just a small little business. I don't know, would you want to, you want some lemonade maybe, because I'm just a small town girl with simple solutions.
Sure.
And so I think in my mind, because of how I'm phrasing that, maybe I even devalue it. Um, though every client that I've had would tell you that I shouldn't be devaluing it because of what we've done for their business.
100%. And the little girl selling the lemonade has it easier than you because we know what lemonade is.
Right.
So
Yes.
for
Yeah.
you, it's a little unique. Tell me why this is so important. Why do you want to organize? I can tell you firsthand in the vendors that I deal with, I know which ones, which not just these are big companies, which ones are organized and which ones aren't. And in one, shall we say, media category, I can take two major companies. And it's not just the sales rep, it's their infrastructure. They do the same exact thing in different areas. Oh my gosh, this one so disorganized, this one fantastic. And you see the difference.
Yeah. It's
See it.
palpable.
Absolutely.
I'll tell a little story. There's and I'll get to your question, but I'm gonna tell a little story real quick. In the town where I live, I walked into a store that does branded merchandise because I wanted to get a jacket, like I'm wearing a logo jacket right now.
Mhm.
And I walked into their store and immediately lost confidence because when I looked around, there were papers and piles and just stuff in disarray, just stacked all over. And
Yep.
I don't care how good they are. I didn't have the confidence that they were going to not lose my order, that they were going to be able to get it done on time, all of these things. So I didn't go with them. So just kind of echoing what you're saying, how you can see the difference. Um, and so then you asked me, why do I do this? And to be perfectly honest, my original why was because I wanted more flexibility to be home with my daughter. I thought this would be a great side hustle, supplement my husband's teacher's income. And it was that. And then I would just say that, God put me in the right places at the right time and doors opened, and all of a sudden it just became this thing that is kind of my identity at this point, I think. And so when my daughter graduated high school, and even after college, I reevaluated the why. Like, why am I doing this anymore?
Mhm.
And I really spent some time with that and came to this phrase very simply: because I love people and I hate inefficiency. Just at my core, I hate inefficiency, and I cannot stand to see it in my life or to see it in other people's lives. And I do genuinely, I love people. I have days when I love them not as much as other days, but
Sure.
but my underlying belief is that I love people and just want to help.
And it also goes back to business. Yes, it's great to open a drawer and oh man, I feel so good. It's organized. These drawers in front of me right now, they're not. They're a mess. And I know I have one drawer because I'm geeky. If I need to find a connector for electronics or whatever it might be, audio, I I know I'm not gonna. It's gonna take me an hour. I know it is
Mm,
but I haven't gotten to that yet. But look at the examples that we gave in terms of businesses. That one of the two, if I could pick another one to replace this one in a second, I would. I'm not even kidding. But they kind of have the lock on the media that they offer in this particular region. And this company does the same thing, but it's a different area. In a
sure.
second, because it's more work for me working with them because I always have to watch what they're doing because one hand doesn't talk to the other within that company. The
Right.
sales doesn't talk to the billing, and there's always something. The other one, I'm blown away how efficient they are. They have
Yeah.
the right systems, and they know it. They even admit it.
And I'll bet if you were to really evaluate it, I'd be very curious. That psychology maybe background in me. I'd be very curious to look at the people who are working there and compare the tenure of the one in the healthy, systematized business versus the potential turnover in the other one. Just, I'd be curious. So
Interesting, you bring that up, and I'm going to end this section right here. But remember, I said the two companies. The the person I deal with in this very efficient company left this one. put a period at the end of the sentence, and, and on to other things. E-learning is what you offer. You have lots of content to help people do a lot of this.
I do. So back in, I'm going to say 2000, I think it was 2013, 2010-ish, I started to realize there was more interest in the services I was offering, because I'm a consultant and a trainer. So not, that's how I started, was I can come into your business and I can create solutions and design processes and help you be more efficient. Or you can come to one of my workshops and I can teach you those skills, and you can take them back and do that. So in 2013, I realized there's more interest than I physically have time to be present and be able to do. So I tried to think of, I was brainstorming again. I feel like I was pioneering a field, at least in Midwest Ohio. The coasts may have been different, but I was kind of pioneering this idea to have some kind of an e-learning site where I could record these sessions and make them available for anybody to watch on their schedule, at their pace and in their pajamas if they wanted to. But back in 2013, in my world, this just wasn't a thing. People weren't doing it. Now anybody can record a course and make it available, but it was a very different scenario back then. Sure. Worked with a virtual assistant. She helped me create the framework for it. And then in 2016, we launched it. And then in 2020, I kind of had to relaunch because there were so many more tools now available for e-learnings, and literally took those first few weeks of quarantine to convert my whole e-learning site. But that's exactly what it is. It takes my trainings, it takes the solutions. Like sometimes they are, hey, this is what we did at this client, do this, and it's going to help kinds of things. But there's over 50 sessions, all focusing on workplace organization, productivity, and Microsoft. So we haven't really touched on that yet, but I do a lot with Microsoft, Excel, Teams, all of those things. So all of these sessions, and there's over 50 of them, focus on those topics. Some are just skills training. Like I said, some are, hey, here's a solution that has worked for other people. Here's how we did it. Each are an hour long. So I try to make it very kind of, micro oriented. You can jump in, get the skill you need, and move on with your day. So, and each, wow. I don't know if you want me to go this far. Each session's $29, but we have subscription where you can get professional development for your staff for a year and 50 plus hours of training for considerably less than $100 a person.
Wow. I love it. I think it's fantastic. And even the Microsoft side, you mentioned Excel. I use it almost every other day. I really don't know all the keystrokes. I'm pretty good at, when I need to do something, I'll find a way to get it done. I'll go around to get it done. But what does that take? Time. It's a waste of time. I should just learn it. I should just learn it.
We could just go on and on about Excel if you wanted.
Yeah, it's so valuable, and there's so much going on there. I'm not.
So many people are self-taught and do exactly what you described, and then they call me. I'm like, oh, if we do this, this, and this, and boom, all of a sudden there's these powerful tools that get unlocked for you. And now all of a sudden you can analyze your data and understand it and have almost, like reports and dashboards. So.
Yeah, I don't even treat it as a spreadsheet. For me, it's more of just a list of stuff.
Oh, okay. And that's good
too. Because I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
That's why.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, that's totally it. Janet, how do we find you? What's your website?
My website is organizationsolutionsllc.com.
Yeah, it's a brand new year. I look at it as a clean slate. Let's start fresh. This is going to improve somebody's career, improve somebody's business. I think that's the part that people don't realize. It's more than just organization.
It is. Can I tell one more quick little thing?
Please.
For businesses who may be looking to sell in the next 3 to 5 years, having your documents, your processes documented, and having your shared server organized actually increases the value of the sale of your business. So that's another thing to keep in mind if you're a business owner.
Wow.
And you got to start before you decide to sell.
Oh yeah. If you're going to there's a lot of catching up. I'm sure. Wow. Yeah. Janet, love what you do. Thank you so much today. And definitely looking forward next time we get together.
Great. Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody stay organized. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.